Welcome everybody to the Tombradley room of Los Angeles City Hall. It's my great honor and pleasure to recognize, as we're recognizing the history of this city and how it's changed, another incredible history maker, a woman who has been one of our state's exceptional leaders, the first African-American woman to ever be elected to lead a state house anywhere in the United States of America when she was Speaker of the Assembly. A great leader in the United States Congress, and now we're so delighted to have her serving as our groundbreaking mayor, who's locking arms with the City Council, locking arms with everybody to make change. Our great mayor, the Honorable Karen Bass. Mayor.
Good morning, everyone. This is an amazing morning. It really is. And thank you, President Krekorian. You are providing great leadership of our City Council, and I'm so honored to serve with the members of the council. And you're right, locking arms. And who was the founder of Locking Arms? Mayor Bradley. I do have to say, it's a little scary to think it was half a century when you remember it very well. And then you go, whoop, where did that time go? But so many leaders who are here today, and also the former council members who I know so well. I told Councilman Farrell that in the current council, remember this, remember when we had Africa Day, and I mentioned his historic role in LA City relationships, foreign relation. I see former Councilmember Alacon and Ruth Galanter, and I was talking to Councilmember Nate Holden when I came in, and he reminded me, he pulled me aside and said, that's right, give him a round of applause. Well, he pulled me aside and said, you know, I'm the one that got this room named. I'm the one that called this the Bradley Room. But I just think it's so important to know our history. And I think of the former council members who are here and how we all need to learn from them. Very little is new. Former council member and supervisor Yarslowski, very little is new, but there's so much that we can learn from the past. And when I think of Mayor Bradley, actually, before I ever knew of Mayor Bradley, I knew of his daughter, Lorraine. She doesn't remember me, but she was my gym teacher. And we knew we better act right with Lorraine. I went to Louis Pasteur Junior High, now it's called middle school, and now it's also called LACES. But I certainly remember you. And then when I was in high school, remembering the first campaign, Mayor Bradley's first campaign, ugly campaign it was. However, he came back ferociously and won, and his coalition, the coalition politics that he was so known for, is something that I certainly watched and emulated and became a basic part of my values. I had a lot in common with Bradley. He migrated from the South, just like my father did, escaping life in the South and coming to Los Angeles and knowing how you could possibly have a better life here, but then he faced obstacles too. And I remember, and I believe this is a true story, that when he was mayor, a number of the clubs, the private clubs, had to integrate because they were white only, male only, and then we had this mayor, and the mayor wasn't even allowed in the Jonathan Club and the California Club, I believe, and they had to change their rules to allow the black man to come in. And I think of, you know, the Olympics and how everybody was so freaked out it was just going to be a disaster for the city. And his calm, steady leadership, we're going to make this Olympics happen. And not only that, it's going to be profitable. And to this day, we still get resources from the Olympics from so many years ago. And so we have that to emulate in 2028. So I just want to say that I'm honored to be here today. I want to thank our council president for putting on this event. And every time I go to LAX and pass the Bradley terminal, It reminds me of what a transformative mayor he was. A heck of a lot to live up to. Thank you.
The heart of the Bradley campaign was a relationship between African Americans and Jews. Jews and blacks were the strongest supporters of this historic civil rights movement. So when it came time to change Los Angeles, blacks and Jews, along with Latinos and Asian Americans, all had an interest in change because they were on the outside looking in.
The idea of working together in coalitions became more acceptable. As Tom Bradley runs for office again, there was a lot of support from Chicano and Latino unionists and activists. And certainly Cesar Chavez was somebody that admired Tom Bradley, and we knew that.
We got Bradley headquarters in Little Tokyo in a very visible location. We leafleted. We got a lot of younger people, younger Asian Americans, aware of the importance of active participation in the democratic process.
It was kind of an awakening in Los Angeles. We were a divided city, and it was Tom Bradley's campaign that brought these disparate groups together.
The people of this city are going to be able to look beyond the question, the irrelevant factor of race, and look to the qualifications, the programs, the ideas that the candidates offer.
It is my honor to present to you the mayor of all of the city of Los Angeles, the Honorable Thomas Bradley.
Tonight was the fulfillment of a dream, the impossible dream. The victory which has come tonight is not just a victory for Tom Bradley, not just a victory for the campaign, but a victory for progress, a victory for our children. Thank you very much.
Would you welcome, please, the new mayor-elect of Los Angeles, Tom Bradley. How do you explain the turnaround from 4 years ago to this point now, where you've had such, I guess, would be a landslide victory, something like 100,000 votes?
Yes, it was the biggest margin of victory in this city since 1929, so it was quite a victory.
You had to carry the majority of the white vote, and that is remarkable. It's nice to see it in this day and age.
Well, you know, I'm very proud of that.
Tom Bradley became the first African American to be elected mayor of a major American city with an overwhelmingly white population.
And I will faithfully discharge
The duties of the office of mayor.
the duties of the office of mayor.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I'm so grateful to my friend Lynn Goldfarb, the documentarian who made that movie, the producer and director. That film is called Bridging the Divide, and really it is such a great achievement in capturing the Bradley era and telling the story of Tom Bradley. Lynn's collaborator, Allison Sotomayor, couldn't be with us this evening, but she and Lynn have done so much to keep the memory of Tom Bradley alive and to share it with generations of people who don't remember from their own life. So I hope that this is a film that is broadly seen and hopefully will be seen by school children across the nation. Speaking of our responsibility to remember history and to preserve history and to keep history alive, I want to recognize a group that does such an amazing job of that and has its own role in Los Angeles' history as well. I'd like to ask the members of the Our Authors Study Club to please rise and be recognized for your incredible work. The nation celebrates African American Heritage Month every year because of the work of our Author Study Club, really, and getting that started and having Fletcher Boweron be the first, I think the first mayor in in the country, right, to actually recognize what has become African American Heritage Month, thanks to the inspiration and work of our Author Study Club. And history stays alive in some respects through the work of the staff of the City of Los Angeles. And there are people in this room who worked on the staff of Tom Bradley, who are part of his personal staff, part of departments at the time. And I'd like to have them all, if you can, rise or raise your hand so that we can recognize the staff, the former staffers of Tom Bradley who are able to join us today. So Tom Bradley served as mayor for 20 years, longer than any mayor in history, longer than any mayor ever will serve. And over the course of that time, had the opportunity to serve with a wide array of council members. Some of the council members from the Bradley era are with us. Two of them were Bradley staff members who just rose, but I want to give an opportunity for us to recognize all of these great leaders, starting with Richard Alarcon. If you could rise as I call your name. Councilmember Wendy Gruhl. Councilmember Robert Farrell. Councilmember Ruth Galanter. Councilmember Nate Holden. Councilmember Joy Pikus. And Councilmember Zev Yaroslavsky. And I'm going to ask you all when we conclude here if you could come on up. I'd love to get a picture of all of you with our current members as well. We don't get that many opportunities to have a history-making picture like that. I'm also proud to announce that we have with us appropriately a number of members of Tom Bradley's family who are with us, and I'd like to introduce two of them and let them do the rest. Mayor Tom Bradley's daughters, Lorraine and Phyllis Bradley.
Wow. This is incredible. Give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you. On behalf of my sister Phyllis and myself, I want to thank Councilman Krekorian for coming up with this fantastic idea. When it was mentioned to me, like everybody else, I could not believe 50 years, really? That long. But it was a great day. As we were being introduced, Lynn, and this documentary, I have to tell you, 7 years of hard work. Nobody works that hard to try. So, Lynn, thank you. You and Allison, thank you. As Councilman mentioned, the former staff of Daddy's who did incredible work. You can't do this alone, as Karen says. You can't do anything by yourself. You need all the help you can get. And to the staff of the former mayor, thank you for all of your hard work and time that you've spent assisting in running the city of Los Angeles. I'd like to introduce some special friends of ours, our relatives and extended family. If you'll please stand. Thank you, cousins. Extended family, friends. As you all know, we don't do that by ourselves either. Everybody needs a base and some help all along the way, and we receive it every day. I was trying to reminisce about things that occurred and happened, and I think back now to July 1st, 1973. And we were up in an apartment in Bunker Hills Tower dressing for the great day. And Dad comes out. Oh, before I tell the story. And Phyllis will kill me. Yes, you will. Because without the help of my mother, Ethel Bradley, none of this is possible.
That's right.
Thank you. Mom was everything. Daddy couldn't have done it. Get up at 6 in the morning and get back to the house at 11 and have the schedule he had if she didn't put up with it. As long as she could go to her Dodger game, she was okay. And I could always remember Connie Chappelle having to call, and she said, Miss B, there's an event that your husband wants you to go to, but it's on a Dodger night. Is it okay? And she'd have to tell her, okay, I'll do it. But she never wanted to give up her Dodgers, but we always have to remember her for both of us. But back to my story on July 1st, 1973. And we had just finished completing, we were almost ready to leave. And Dad comes out of the bedroom and he has his coat jacket in his hand, and he's wearing a bulletproof vest. And we're all thinking, okay. And then, of course, that big smile hit his face, and you knew everything was going to be fine. He was not going to let anything keep him from being inaugurated and taking office. He loved the city of Los Angeles and would do anything and everything for it. And because of that, we have a great legacy that he has left for all of us to emulate, to follow. And the key, of course, is working with each other. That's the thing we have to start doing now. We need to work with each other, listen to each other, and get ideas, and then try to implement them. And we both wish the council good success, and of course, our Madam Mayor, I was thrilled to be able to say that. And again, to all of you, thank you so much for this great day. Thank you.
Thank you all.
I'm okay.
All right, we took a moment to recognize collectively the Tom Bradley staff, the team, and I'd like to ask one of them to come up to speak on behalf of the staff. So if I could invite Bob Chandler up to share a few memories about the Bradley era. Bob was, of course, the mayor's former communications director. Bob Chandler.
Wow, what a gathering. It's really incredible to see this group of people come together, and I know Tom Bradley, wherever he is, would be proud right now. Thank you. How's that? So I will, one slight thing. My name is Bill Chandler, and I am the former press secretary for Tom Bradley, and it's really a privilege to be here and to see so many people who were part of that mosaic of people he brought together to lead the city. I see Ed Avila in the back, former Deputy Mayor Ed Avila, who should be up here telling his perspectives as well, really an amazing leader. And Olivia Mitchell. Olivia, where are you? Olivia. I could go through the list of attendees here. I would miss someone. Looking at this crowd, I do want to make sure Ed and Olivia in particular are called out, because they are among the many leaders who really came together along with Wendy, with Richard, to really create something special together. And so I do have a few, I think so many of us in the room represent different eras in the Tom Bradley administration. He was mayor for 20 years, 20 amazing years. I came in towards the end of that sort of tenure. And I know we learned from who came before, we pass that on, and I think we all hold in our hearts it was a special time, and it's carried forward with all of us. Tom Bradley was a caring leader, boss, and mentor. He also gave great feedback, and I remember walking into City Hall, and I'd walk into the mayor's office, and I'd hear, the mayor's looking for you. The mayor's looking for you. And I would walk back to the mayor. He would have this most amazing feedback. And I was learning, I was developing, and it was the kind of feedback that sticks with you. It's this insight, because he had that kind of insight into people. He was a man who was emotionally intelligent, before that was a phrase that anyone talked about. He could read a room, looking around for what's unsaid, looking around for what voice hasn't been heard and needs to be heard. And he was a deep listener. Boy, I can remember listening, nodding, using his body language, making eye contact, expressing with his eyes. And when he spoke, there was a clarity, there was a passion, there was a perspective. And the room, we fell in lockstep. We were behind our leader. And that's the leader that brought everyone in Los Angeles together, despite what your background you might have, despite where you came from, despite your point in life. And he saw the strengths in all of us. He saw the strengths that we could bring to what we were doing. You know, I was a kid back then, and he saw in me something. I was just learning to be a communicator. That's what I do. I'm a communicator still to this day from what I learned at City Hall. And he saw in me, at the age of 25, this something. And he said he was willing, will you be my press secretary? You know, I'm not sure, I didn't believe in myself at that point. I had so much to learn. I didn't know so much, but he saw in me something. He entrusted me with this amazing confidence, and I then believed in myself. And I saw that countless times across our team, across City Hall, and it really, for someone who was young, he really gave me the job of a lifetime. And I think he did that for everyone, and he would sort of look into us, look to see what was possible, and say, okay, let's go. And through that, we created a family like no other, a multi-generational, diverse, complicated, talented, brilliant family. And we were stronger because of our differences. We celebrated each other's successes. We mourned our losses together. Where we cared for one another as the Bradley family. Tom Bradley changed my life. He changed our lives. He showed me how to lead, how to be empathetic, how to listen, how to solve complex problems. And I try to this day to honor Tom Bradley by bringing those principles in how I choose to lead my life. There's so much more I know all of us would want to say about what Tom Bradley means for us. He was that incredible. I love seeing the video and remembering how tall. He's so tall. That presence, that voice, the intensity when he looked at you and communicated to you. But most of all, I just look at him and say, he brought people together. And that's what makes Los Angeles so special. That's what makes Tom Bradley so special. And Mayor Bass, Council President Krekorian, thank you for this forum, bringing us together. Thank you for leading as you do. And thank you for bringing us together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bill. Next, I'd like to invite up to say a few words on behalf of the Tom and Ethel Bradley Foundation. Please welcome a longtime consultant to the foundation, longtime executive director of the California African American Museum, and chair of the Board of Trustees of the California Institute of the Arts, Charmaine Jefferson.
Good morning. I have this great big pieces of paper. Don't worry, I'm not getting ready to read all of that. My point this morning, and before I get started, is to say, one, thank you both to the mayor and to the councilman, and to Hugh Eston and to Mike Davis, because your team, Mike Davis jumped in, really helped to pull this together, and we are so grateful. So on behalf of the Bradley family and the Bradley Foundation, thank you so much. So when Hugh asked me if I would speak for a moment to you, I wondered, because there are some extraordinary historians with the word doctor in front of their name, that would be tremendous to be standing here. And while I have a JD, we don't usually go around calling ourselves a doctor of law. But Tom Bradley was a lawyer, and what I'm going to do right this moment very quickly is try to have you leave here today walking the city and connecting dots. Because we're celebrating what was the first time that a black man became the mayor of Los Angeles. Yes, that was 50 years ago. Yes, my hair will tell you I was alive. But let's connect some dots, because I think when you walk through this city again, you will not see it the same, because we could tell Los Angeles' story through dot connecting in places that we never think about. The mayor said that Lorraine was her PE teacher. I stand here looking older than Lorraine, but she was my babysitter. And that had to be when Tom Bradley was at the police department, because my mother worked at the police department as a secretary. And all of the segregation that went on in that police department. I want you to imagine this man we are celebrating today and what he went through, coming out of Calvert, Texas, going into Somerville in Arizona, and going to a one-room schoolhouse next door to the building for the white kids that was a schoolhouse, and then the family migrating into Los Angeles. That move, coming out of being sharecroppers, is not that far away from us. Sometimes we think of it as, but it isn't. And I say that to you as a relative of the founder of Black History Month. Carter G. Woodson was my great-grandfather's nephew. He taught him how to read. The person who founded Black History Month, his uncle migrated into Pasadena. There are paths that we can all find. And I say that because Woodson thought it was important that we all remember our history and connect each other to it, because if so, we would all be one. That's the Bradley thinking. Everybody actually has a role with each other. Our Author Study Club in this city, when it makes the decision to say to Mayor Barwin then, let us have a Black History celebration, that's even more than 50 years ago. So imagine how proud Bradley had to be when he got to step up and celebrate the very first Black History Month in Los Angeles. And I'm not sure, I might have my dates wrong. It may still have been week when he came in, if I am not mistaken. So now keep connecting your dots for just a second. And I want you to think back about Tom Bradley and his family for just a moment. He lived on Alvarado Street when they first arrived, on East 53rd Street, on Newton Street, on Hooper. He went to 4 elementary schools, 4. Union Avenue, 20th Street, Hooper Avenue, and Rosemont Elementary School. And I tell you that because you can now pass by, some of them are not in existence, you can pass by those locations and go, Tom Bradley was here. This man that we're celebrating, Tom Bradley, was here. But don't think that he was just going to school. While he was in high school, he had a paper route. I deliberately want to tell you about this paper route. It was from his home on Newton to Wall Street, and then to 8th, and then to Figueroa, and then 2nd, and then back to Newton, and then he went to school. If you walked it, it would be 2 hours and 9 minutes. And he delivered newspapers, and he did it every day while he was in high school. So the man who we're celebrating, that determination, was already rolling. He was already figuring it out. I'm not getting on the bicycle that's a treadmill in my house, so I'm still trying to figure out how he did that. And I know it's 2 hours and 9 minutes because MapQuest told me so, and he didn't have MapQuest. The other part that I wanted to stop and say to you as you think about trying to celebrate Tom Bradley is, his name is lots of places. It's in this magnificent room, and he deserved this tall gigantic room because he was a tall, gigantic man with a gentle spirit. Correct me if it wasn't always gentle. But he was also the first black lieutenant in Los Angeles, in the police force. He's the one that started community policing. He was the first black elected to the city council. So before you get to this 50th anniversary, you got a lot of firsts next to his name, and he wasn't bragging about it. He was just doing the work. And in that process, now you look around and you can find his name several places, or sometimes you will not notice it. All the way in the valley at Cal State Northridge is the Tom and Ethel Bradley Center, where one of the largest collections of photographs of African Americans, and even larger, is in place. So he's out in the valley. And we have representatives of the Tom and Ethel Bradley Center stand here. If you'll just wave your hand, at least let them know you are here. They do amazing work, and the family sits on that board. There is a post office on Crenshaw. You really could pass by that and not know it was a Tom Bradley. You might not want it to be a Tom Bradley post office. It needs a little work, looking a little ragged. But the point is, his name is on that post office. There is this impossible dream. The reason his name is on the airport is because of how hard he worked to make Los Angeles an international city. It's not just, oh, we found something to put his name on and no one was going to care. That beautiful big head sculpture belongs there because he made us a big international city. We can now just connected the metro at the L line. That photograph that you see right there, that's him getting ready to go up the stairs at the metro. That was his impossible dream, how proud he would be today of how far we have come. And then I want you to remember one other one. And you'll hear later, his name is on an elementary school. It is in several other places, but here's the last thing that I want to make sure that I say to you. It's a small story. Sometimes we won't remember it. He was a Kappa. Are there any Kappas in the house? Yeah. In the African American community, fraternities and sororities is a really big deal. But he was a Kappa Alpha Psi. And I'm telling this story because sometimes the things that we are missing in Los Angeles, and I'm born and raised here, so was my mother, so that makes me weird. And some of us who are old, I mean, we're weird, like we're native Angelinos, right? But at one point, where the old estate homes are in Los Angeles, as African Americans were able to gain some ground, consider all the work they were doing. By the way, he was a member of at least 65, 68 organizations. He was always advocating and working. If you stopped and read just any of the newspapers, you would see that that was the work that he was doing long before he even became a council member and while he was in school, etc. I'm foregoing all of that. But we have a freeway. We have a 10 freeway. Some of you do not know that when that 10 freeway went in, it was the dividing point between where the black people lived and the white people lived. And those who had risen up had bought homes in the old estate homes. One of those families was the Somervilles. The Somervilles, John and Valda Somerville, had been dentists, and they had made it, and they owned a home that they had bought from someone who was white. It was a 9-bedroom home. They also built what you all refer to as the Dunbar Hotel. It was originally the Hotel Somerville. And if you ever go to it, look down on the ground, the mosaic in the floor says Hotel Somerville. That was it. When they lost it and sold it to someone who was white, he realized that this was still a very important black community, and so he named it the Dunbar Hotel in honor of the black poet. But the Somerville home became the home of the Kappa Alpha Psi. And Tom Bradley was a big leader in the Kappa Alpha Psi. And he was part of the team, actually one of the leaders of the team, that located, found that home, got that home, bought that home, and the day that it opened, it was front page news in the California Eagle. 1,000 people turned out. And when those 1,000 people turned out, it was because it wasn't just going to be the Kappa house. It was the Kappa and for the community, for meetings and etc. That's how he rolled. That's how important it was to him. The reason I tell that story is that when they went to build the 10 freeway and they eminent domained a lot of homes, most of what they eminent domained, or a large number, were the black homes, particularly of those who had started to rise, and that included the Kappa house. So all that money they had raised to buy that home so they could turn it into this community place, they lost. And they spent several more years finding something else, but Tom Bradley was determined. And he found the Kappa house that's on Crenshaw. It's not nearly as big, but I remember it because some of us used to go there and party. I'm not going to tell it all. But they bought the Kappa house. And it is still there to this day. So I don't want you to drive down Crenshaw and pass the Kappa house and not remember Tom Bradley. I don't want you to get on that 10 freeway and start going through that West Adams district and not remember that the Somervilles were here. And Tom Bradley connected to the Somervilles. And there was a home, and it was going to be the Kappa house, and it's gone. I don't want you to go down Figueroa and not think about Tom Bradley on some bicycle taking a newspaper. Because the man who led this city 50 years ago, when he first started, was the man who made his mark all over Los Angeles for a very long time. Thank you all for being here.
Wow, thank you very much, Dr. Jefferson, for putting all of this into a context. That also bothers me too. I want to be called Dr. Krekorian. It just seems wrong. It just seems wrong. But I mean, anyway, to all the lawyers in here, you know what I mean. So thank you for that context, because it's so important to remember all of the things, large and small, that are part of Tom Bradley's continuing legacy. And many times those legacy items, aren't connected to people. But for all of us in public service, if we're doing our job well, we send out what Bobby Kennedy called those tiny ripples of hope. And you may not know where they're coming from, but you're impacting future generations, whether they know your name or not. Now, most of us will never be Tom Bradley. But another way that Tom Bradley's legacy is recognized now is in the Thomas Bradley Global Awareness Magnet Elementary School, and which is in Leimert Park. It was originally the 38th Street School when it was built almost 100 years ago. But in 1999, that school was renamed to honor the outstanding mayor who lived for a time in Leimert Park and made so many contributions to this community and to our city. And so I'm very pleased to be able to welcome some students from the Thomas Bradley Global Awareness Magnet Elementary School. Each of the 5th grade students who are here with us today was selected because of their passion, self-discipline, persistence, and perpetual pursuit of excellence, which is part of the school's mission and creed, and which exactly parallels Tom Bradley's commitment to public service. So to read excerpts from Mayor Tom Bradley's first inaugural address, please welcome Madeline Clayton, Ryland Boyd White, Taylor Washington, and Josiah Stevenson.
Many of you heard me say that I am in love with this city, and that's true. But more than that, I love the people that live here. When I was 7 years old, my family came to Los Angeles hoping to find something, a chance, a better life. We came west for the same reason most of you did, because we believed that westward lived the American dream made real. The promise of hard work rewarded, the promise of a place where you were measured by what you did, not your color or creed or place of worship. I have had successes and failures, but never did I doubt that Los Angeles was a community that believed in the American dream. Never did I lose faith that the city really could live by the noble words of our nation's birth. The chance you have given me says more about the city's decency and sense of fairness and 100 speeches or 1,000 proclamations. I don't know how to say thank you to 3 million people, except to say if gratitude were gold, this would be a city of millionaires.
Good morning, everyone. My fellow Americans, since I cannot repay Los Angeles in riches, I shall seek to do something more possible and perhaps more enduring. I intend to repay the chance you have given me by giving this city a chance to meet and defeat those ills we face, a chance to become one city in America which mastered its difficulties, a chance to become the kind of city we might leave our children with pride instead of apologies. Ours is a city with people from all walks of life and many backgrounds, and with a common identity. We are bound together by the problems that shape and control our lives, and we have a common destiny shaped by the similarities of the purpose of our commitment. Let me share with you the cornerstone of my philosophy. I assume the responsibility of this office today with the commitment and merit of excellence, a commitment that is as city as rendezvous with tomorrow, a tomorrow which will extend the horizons of our potential beyond anything that has happened in our past. Our accomplishments will be measured by that commitment. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Taylor Washington, and I am a graduate student from Tom Bradley Global Awareness Magnet. Today I will be saying a speech made by my school in honor of Tom Bradley. I am proud of the decision you made on May 29th. Your rejection of appeals to racial prejudice was a historic statement to the young people of this nation. I suggest that the results of this election help confirm my faith and confidence in our system and in the democratic process. And that's what this country is all about. As we turn to tomorrow, it is your future that concerns me the most. All your lies you have heard. You can't fight City Hall. Well, I know from personal experience that you can, and sometimes you can win. The inequities of the past, which have closed doors to jobs and promotional opportunities, racial minorities, the physically handicapped, and others must be eliminated. The future of this city depends in large measure on what you are willing to do. There will be an open door to this City Hall. The door to my office will remain open to help you with your problems.
Good morning. My name is Josiah Stevenson, and
I want to say that I want to read Tom Bradley's speech. It says, "This administration welcomes the light of tomorrow's sunrise, and we accept the magnitude and the importance of our duties. But while our comprehension is broad and our aspirations high, we require and demand the understanding and support of all the segments of our community. I have carefully chosen the word demand, for the undertaking before us is beyond the capability of one man, and our link with tomorrow will be forged as a part of a chain that can be fashioned only by all our efforts. Let it be said that here in Los Angeles, we begin today to build the kind of government that means what it says and says what it means. Let it be said that we build the kind of government that the decent, hardworking citizens of Los Angeles respected because it respected them. Let it be said that the chance the city held out was grasped by all of us. And as we turn to tomorrow, let us reclaim our faith in ourselves and in the system that has given us so much, and yet have so much more to give.